What's up, everybody? It's Mike here from The Art of Guitar, here to talk about kind of a funny thing, but it's true. I guess you could say it's sad but true, but it's actually not that sad. It's the four stages of Guitar Store playing, and my original article was just called The Four Stages of Guitar Center Playing, but I know there's not Guitar Centers everywhere, so there might be. When you go into a guitar store and you hear people playing, it's usually one of four people, four kinds of people at four different types of levels. And when I first started guitar, I remember walking in. So this would be stage one. You're totally new to it. And you walk in and you look at that huge wall of guitars, and it's just really intimidating. And you're afraid to touch them, even though sometimes people do anyway. And you walk by, and everybody who's playing guitar seems to be way better than you. Just because you're starting out, but everybody's amazing. You know, you're looking over there and the guy's playing Smoke on the Water, and it just sounds so professional, even if he's not playing it the greatest. So it kind of blows your mind. Everything's new, everything's exciting. You're not sure, what you're really looking at, what to shop for. You're just kind of in awe the whole time. So that's stage one, and that's a totally innocent stage, and I love that stage because everything's brand new and exciting, and the world of guitar seems so gigantic. And then comes stage two, and this is after you're playing for a few months, something really weird happens. You learn a couple riffs, maybe off YouTube or something, and you grab a guitar, usually, expensive guitar, I noticed, and the guys working there are always kind of freaking out because they're afraid you're going to drop it or bang it against another guitar or something. And then you plug it in, and almost all the time they'll turn on the amp, and you'll just hear this raging feedback through the whole store because when you're at that level, you really don't know what to look for when it comes to amp settings. So the master might be cranked all the way up. That's kind of a mean trick that some people do. They'll turn up the master volume and then shut off the amp. So the next unsuspecting person, if they're at level 1 or 2, will turn it on and just feedback city. So that could be kind of freaky. That happened to me. So over time, though, you learn to check that master volume before you turn it on. And at this level, level 2, people, they're not good yet. They can play a handful of riffs maybe. They always seem to be out of tune because when they pick a guitar off the wall, they're not really sure how to tune it by ear quite yet. And so, I don't know, I'll just put my guitar a little bit out of tune. You'll probably hear something like this going on. Probably hear that like 20 times in a row. And it's always at a very loud volume. So what's funny is they're not really that good yet, but because they know a handful of riffs, they kind of want to show people, hey, I can play something. I'm no longer that level 1 person that knows nothing about guitar, so check this out. And they'll play something. It's always too loud. So what I recommend to people at this level, you have to go through that level, but if you're conscious of it and you're not the greatest, go ahead and keep that volume down a little bit. You're going to not annoy as many customers or employees. And, you could still play the guitars and have fun, but try to keep the levels down a little bit just until you get a little bit better. And then you'll see by the time we get to the last level, that won't be an issue. Okay, so what's level 3? Level 3 is where most people get to, that I noticed, and it's not that you can't get to level 4, but level 4 has a lot of obstacles to get to, so that's why a lot of people are stuck at level 3. So I guess if you wanted to compare it to martial arts like jiu-jitsu, that level would be like being at the blue belt level, where you're decent, but you still haven't really tested yourself out yet, so that's just kind of the analogy I like to use. Level 3, you're good, and you can play, and you could probably play in bands if you wanted to. And you could solo a little bit too, but your riffs sound really good and you're flowing, and you still have that part of you that wants everybody to hear you play. So you'll still turn up that amp loud and you'll play, but this time you're actually in tune, and people are starting to kind of look over and they want to come over, and next thing you know, you look up and there's maybe a little group of people watching you play. It's kind of a cool level to be at. And your ego feels really good because you're like, okay, all this work and I'm finally being heard. This is great. I'm out of my basement, But it's easy to get stuck in level 3 because you feel good every time people acknowledge that you're playing well, and you feel good already because you are playing well, but you sort of live off that attention a little too much, and you're kind of satisfied sometimes there, so that's where a lot of people get stuck. Also, you haven't played many gigs yet. That's a level 3 characteristic right there, is that you play a lot in your basement, you play a lot at the guitar store to kind of show off, but you haven't been on stage and truly tested yet. So you don't really have that humbling experience of failing on stage. So you kind of want to just stay where you're comfortable. Hey, I can do this tapping lick and everybody thinks I'm great. But once you get on stage and you get surrounded by other musicians who are as good as you or better, and maybe you're nervous, you're not so great on stage at first, it's a very humbling experience and it makes you feel worse at first, even though the excitement of playing live should be enough to keep you want to keep going, but sometimes it scares people. So to get to level 4, typically it's a level 3 person who just goes out and cuts their teeth on playing live, experiencing a lot of failure, but also experiencing a lot of growth. And before you know it, you've played, a handful of shows, maybe a whole bunch of shows, and people have, clapped for you. You've played in front of big crowds. You've also played in front of just the sound man and the waiter or something. That's happened to me many times. And then after you do that for a long time, you've kind of earned your wings to go to the next level, level 4. And it's a strange level because now, you've gotten enough of that energy out on stage. You've had enough people tell you that you're decent, and you've had enough failures and come back from them, hopefully, to be at a certain level now. And all of a sudden, you walk into the music store and you don't even want to play in front of people anymore. It's almost like it's become your job in a way, and you're more professional about it, so you don't have to pull a guitar off the wall and show everybody that you're good. And so typically you just buy a set of strings or something. Maybe you'll see a guitar on the wall that you think looks kind of cool, so you'll try it out. But the strange thing is you'll take it in the back room and maybe turn down and play just for yourself. And the strangest thing is somebody will walk in and you'll actually kind of be annoyed by it. You'll be like, oh, I kind of wanted to be alone in here to try this guitar out. So a very strange switch happens when you get to level 4, when you no longer need that attention, you don't crave it anymore. And then before you know it, you just experience this feeling of feeling great just playing on your own. You don't have to show off to anybody. So I guess you could think of level 4 as maybe the black belt of guitar, and everything else you're sort of working your way up to the point to where you don't even care if anyone hears you play anymore. It's not that you don't want to play in front of audiences anymore, it's just that you'll have a bigger arena in which, hopefully an arena, but you'll have a bigger platform in which to perform, and you will no longer worry about impressing people in a music store. So that's going to be the 4 levels of guitar store playing. I'm just curious how many people think they're at a certain level. I know I was stuck in level 2 for a long time. Level 1 was great, but it went by quick because I dove right in. I started playing and I started taking lessons, and I really dove deep into guitar. So I think I went into level 2 quite fast. There was a Schmidt Music in a mall called Northtown where I used to live, and I annoyed so many of those guys that worked there. I'm sorry, guys. Funny thing is I ended up working there eventually, and then I got paid back by other up-and-coming guitar players playing out of tune. All right, so that was kind of just a short, sort of a funny thing, but I also wanted to teach a lesson through it because there's a lot of truth in the 4 stages of guitar store playing. So leave me some comments and let me know where you guys are at. It'd be interesting to talk about it, and I will catch you at the next lesson. All right.